So we've already talked about how good writing and character development contribute to a great fight scene. But what about the process of making the fight itself? That's where fight choreography comes in. There could be hundreds of hours of video and countless books written about how to choreograph a fight scene. But for our purposes as editors, I'm going to keep it pretty brief. When you have the pleasure of working with well-choreographed fight footage, you'll notice a few things going on. First, the fight will appear natural, like it's happening right in front of the viewer's eyes. It should not appear overly rehearsed or forced, and the events should look realistic and unscripted. Second, it'll seem to have a spontaneous energy to it without looking sloppy, and will have a sense of unpredictability. The viewer should not feel like they necessarily know the outcome of the fight, and they'll be kept interested in waiting to see what happens next. Third, you'll see stylized techniques. In a real fight, most techniques are designed to be quick, powerful, and effective. They're meant to catch their opponent off guard. If a movie fight scene were designed with these exact same moves, the audience would miss a lot of the action. The moves would be too quick to register. Since they're designed to catch their opponent off guard and unaware, they'd probably do the same to the viewer, who might not see the quick move that just happened. Real fighters are taught not to telegraph their punches and kicks, and give away the fact that they're about to attack their enemy. But in movie fight scenes, it's the exact opposite. A little wind-up, like pulling an arm back or cocking a leg, will cue the viewer to keep watching because something's about to happen. Good fight scene choreography should be stylized and exaggerated in a way that lends itself well to being captured by a camera and understood by a viewer. That means that moves will often be less efficient and direct than their real-life counterparts, and they'll often end up taking more of an arcing, sweeping movement to be seen easily by both the camera lens and the human eye, such as a right hook or a spinning kick. Inexperienced fight choreographers might not understand this, and they might not design the fight with the viewer in mind. As editors, it's our job to understand that what is actually happening in a movie fight doesn't really matter if the viewer can't see it. The fourth mark of a well-choreographed fight scene is to have little to no misses. In the world of fight choreography, a miss is defined as a punch or a kick that appears to miss its intended target. This could either be due to sloppy choreography or poorly chosen camera angles. Unfortunately, a lot of amateur fight scenes have problems with this. As an editor, just make sure that if you're going to use a punch or a kick, it looks like it's actually happening. Or, at the very least, use multiple angles of the attack when you're editing so that you can cut away from one angle before it starts to look fake, and finish the movement from another angle. Fifth, part of good fight choreography is making sure that the actors show realistic emotion and reactions to the events in a fight. During the editing process, you'll find it invaluable to be able to include shots of characters wincing in pain as they're hit, or reacting in fear as they're about to be. Good fight choreographers and directors will make sure that the actors are demonstrating some level of emotional response throughout the fight, and with any luck, it'll be captured on film by the camera operator. Make sure you take advantage of these facial expressions and reactions when you're editing your fight scene. By doing this, you'll make sure that the fight retains an emotional and human component that viewers are going to relate to as they watch. Well-choreographed fights will also use a variety of reactions to the various attacks, depending on the intended strength of the attack and the message that you're trying to get across. If a character reacted the same way to every punch and kick, not only would it be repetitive and boring, but it also wouldn't make much sense. Each attack from an opponent will likely have a different amount of force from the previous one, and it'll probably strike a different part of the other person's body. The reactions should take all of this into account to create realistic fight scene choreography. Another way that quality choreography and good planning can improve a fight scene is by incorporating moves that are unique and interesting. Everyone's seen two boxers trading punches, but that can get a bit tedious. The most interesting fight scenes make use of creative combinations of hits, grabs, blocks, and dodges. To add even more uniqueness and excitement to fight scenes, you'll often see weapons and props being used within the scene, many times in a creative way. For example, in The Bourne Identity, there's a great scene where Jason Bourne, played by Matt Damon, is fighting a hired hitman named Desh. In this scene, Bourne grabs a ballpoint pen from the desk, removes the cap, and expertly uses it like a knife to stab his enemy. That's the type of thing that can set a fight scene apart from every other one. Things you'll remember because you've never seen them done before. As an editor, keep an eye out for interesting moves and attacks in the fight, and be sure to highlight them during the editing process. So, in this lesson, we learned that good fight choreography will help the fight to appear natural. The fights should have a spontaneous energy to them and keep the viewer intrigued. Stylized techniques will be used to help the audience understand what's happening and to be excited by it. Faked punches and kicks will appear convincing and without misses, or we should edit them to fix those issues. The scene will have human emotion and reactions to the events of the fight. And last, interesting moves can be used to make the fight both unique and memorable for the viewer. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at some of the cinematography techniques used to film a fight scene. See you in a bit.